There are 8 billion worlds. How many worlds do you want to discover? In the short and immediate, narrow perspective, it looks like we're losing talent. Actually, you're outsourcing their development without spending a cent.
So you're suggesting that right now the buzz that we hear that, there's a brain drain happening or the people are leaving, there's nothing to worry about.
In the backbone of life, first word is faith.
If we're not then inspiring, I would say, a ball of joy for the people around us, we're actually de-depressing element in their life.
Ultimate goal is dua kamao, dilo mein raho. If this sleeping giant awakens, what will happen?
We see a lot of people saying that they want to make an impact, but they don't know what is the positive impact. Hello and Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome back to another exciting episode of DSG Podcast. Let's keep talking green. So I welcome you all to a brand new episode, and today is one of the episodes that I'm really excited about because we are going to talk about hope. It's a conversation of hope and sustaining Pakistan's talent. So this podcast में हमेशा हम इस बात पर focus रहा है कि youth is driving the car of the nation, and we are the youth, and it's a youth-centric conversation. So Aj, I am really honored to have someone with me that I've always looked up to. I've seen a number of videos, motivational videos, learned a lot from him. But today I've had the honor to host him here. So I have with myself none other than Mr. Kamran Rizvi. I think the name takes no introduction, but he's one of the leading trainers in Pakistan. He's an inspirational coach and OD consultant. Mr. Kamran has started this journey back in 1976. He has been associated with KZ Associates as well as Carnelian. So there's a lot to the name, there's a lot to learn from, and today I have the honor to bringing the KZR to you guys. So without ado, I'll welcome Mr. Kamran on the podcast and we'll begin the conversation. So hello sir, how are you?
Aman, thank you for having me on the show. It is very good that you included me in the youth, amongst the youth.
Yes.
I'm glad that you did, because I am of the...
It's at the heart, and I think you're more young at heart than most of us.
वो कहते हैं age is a number.
Age is a number, definitely.
Youth is an attitude.
Oh, wonderful.
So therefore, you don't want to... I mean, I've come across young people who are, let's say, 22, 24, but their mindset is that of a 65-year-old. And I've also come across some 80-year-olds whose mindset is as energized, as exciting, as creative as that of an 18-year-old.
Definitely.
So when we talk of Pakistan's future, it's in the hands of the youth. In all dimensions, as opposed to the classical youth. Yes. So a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, and I'd be happy to bring some to the people watching. Yes. So I'll begin with the career of yours. A pioneer in the area of self-development, training. You've built human capital, human factor over the years. You've nurtured it. So sir, itni interesting journey goes back to years. Tell us something about it. How did it start? How do you see it now? Tell us something interesting, how it started. Well, I mean, it started, I must say, it started when I started my first career back in 1976 in Abu Dhabi, a land where I could not speak the language, in an industry that I knew nothing about. So it was really an eye-opener.
Yeah.
Imagine, you can't speak the language and you don't know the industry in which you are.
Bilkul.
And I'd just done my A-levels, and I'm a management trainee in a bank in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
So, and that was the first time I was away from home on my own.
On your own.
So what an adventure that must have been. So 1 year, and I discovered that curiosity was at its peak. Because I wanted to know the language, I wanted to know what I was a part of.
Yeah.
And my bosses used to say to me, you ask too many questions. And
the intrusive one.
Yeah. And as a result, I think what happened was that I spent a year in Abu Dhabi, came to London, back to my family. We moved as a family to England in 72, after I did my metric in 1972.
Okay.
We moved as a family to London, and only in 76 did I come to Abu Dhabi when I started my career in banking. And a year later, I was back in London,
Okay.
United Kingdom.
So banking, quite a different career then.
Yeah. So 14 years with the bank, and the last assignment was out of choice, head of training.
Oh,
and that was also after doing my MBA, which was a full-time 1-year program. And in that 1-year program, I must tell you that I discovered that I knew really nothing. Someone asked me after I graduated that, what did you learn in the MBA? I said, I've learned that I know nothing, virtually. There was so much to know. And I realized how little I know.
Yeah.
So that's really how I discovered the field of culture and organizational development. And what helped me do the MBA was the courses I attended. Dale Carnegie courses back in 81, 84, 89. And those courses were about effective speaking, human relations, executive image, management seminar. And I recall that, something in me was saying banking is not what I like to do.
Yeah.
What I'd rather do is develop the human factor. And as things turned out, I resigned from the bank in 1990, joined a consulting firm straight after because I was an MBA.
Yeah.
And it was started by ex-McKinsey consultants, a boutique operation, mergers and acquisitions, etc., in London.
Yeah.
So they were friends. So I just walked in and I said, give me your business card. They said, excuse me, friends are friends, but this is extortion. I said, no, I'm not going to charge. I don't want a salary.
Yeah.
I just want to become an associate, develop business, and whatever I bring in, give me a cut from that.
Yeah.
And in the process, I'll also learn about consulting because I've done my MBA. The theory is there, but I want the practice. I want to understand how you guys do it.
Okay.
So that was my 1 year. And then I came to Pakistan.
Okay.
And when I came to Pakistan in 91, by chance, one mentor of mine, Salman Ansari, he asked me, what are your plans? I said, well, I have a year or two. I'll do my recce and I'll see. He said, well, since you are good at training and you were head of training in the bank, why don't you get into training in Pakistan?
Yeah.
So to which I said, everyone I spoke to has said, in Pakistan, people don't want to learn. They only want to teach.
And so the training landscape at that time was very different from what it is now.
Very. Log sikhane wale bahut hain, seekhne wala koi nahi hai. So he said, look, if you don't do training, you're a wimp. Now, वो उन्होंने जब कहा तो by default I said where and when.
Yeah.
And when I said that, तो उन्होंने जवाब में कहा tomorrow at 8 o'clock. This happened on the 11th of June 1991. This conversation, and that tomorrow at 8 a.m. is what I'm living today. ठीक है तो. My first interaction was with Chris Edwards, who was at that time Parktel's CEO.
Okay.
And this gentleman was marketing, general manager marketing in that company. I knew nothing about Pakistan. I knew nothing about its culture, the technology, exactly like in 76 Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Curiosity was at its peak. लाइए जी लाइए क्या बात है किसने बनाई है भाई किसने बनाई है नाम बताओ वकास वकास भाई थैंक यू वेरी मच तो पॉडकास्ट में वकास भाई का नाम आ गया
बिल्कुल
तो इसमें ये था कि आई डिस्कवर्ड कि getting into this line was an inner calling that I had never heard.
Yeah.
There was an inner calling, inner voice that was working in me. And that very question, what do you plan to do? And my response and his response. And I think it was my ego that got triggered.
Yeah.
And he said, no, if you don't do this, you're a wimp. So sometimes ego has its place. Yeah. But I find it's also an impediment to human character. So anyway, so that's how I got started.
That's how you started.
But then the point was, okay, so if I'm going to be working in this profession, what is my agenda? What am I trying to do? And then I asked myself, okay, yaar, what is the goal? The goal is I'm living a good life. I have a good life because I have a certain set of concepts, some ideas, some skills that have enabled me to look at the world in a particular way. And if I'm having a good time in this life, and I'm not talking about wealth, I'm just talking about a particular disposition that enables you to enjoy the world in which you are.
A certain sort of content in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I see people as friends. I see people as opportunities. I listen. I learn. I don't need to break ice with people.
Yeah.
Somehow. So how can I get people to enter this kind of world where they can enjoy being alive?
Yeah.
And look forward to the future. And the only way I can do that is to train, to teach, and show them how. But
so it was about making an impact.
Train them, because I'd done a Train the Trainer program with Dale Carnegie back in, it was in 1987, 88.
Yeah.
But I recall that was very branded. Because when you talk about a franchise, you've got to run things according to their way.
According to a certain plan.
Yeah. And here, my question was, how do I transfer what I know, what I feel, what I experience into others? What is the best way to do that? And then someone talked about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And that's when I started to discover, okay, so if I'm living in a particular world of my own, then how can I include those in this world, others in this world? और फिर उस हवाले से मुझे एक एहसास ये था कि whatever you have, pass on. So if God has blessed you with wealth, pass that on. If God has blessed you with insights, pass those on. And the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
So my burden used to be, if I know something, how do I transmit this to others?
And that's a gift.
Yeah, and I've literally been motivated and driven by this. Otherwise, I feel heavy. So when I'm at home on a holiday, and there are insights galore, and I'm reading a book, and there's something very exciting, then I say, when can I transmit this? I know I'm benefiting from it, but I have to offload. I don't want to die with it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So it's a really interesting story, and it's fascinating how you have been always driven to impart it to others. But then again, there comes my Gen Z part where I'm just intrusive on the pessimistic side. So when it comes to developing human factor, so there's positivity and there's negativity. You meet all sort of people, and you have been in some sort of profession where it's all about people and training people and developing people. So even if it's an organization, it's just a group of people. So what drives you to continue the work? What has been that ultimate source, that ultimate passion? What has driven you to be in the same field for so many years?
First of all, I might tell you that human beings are the most complex.
Definitely.
So space exploration is the macro dimension. When you go into the microscopic elements of nature and reality, that's another infinite journey. The human being is what we take for granted.
Yeah.
And in fact, the most complex of all entities on this planet is you and I. The most complex. And for me, I've never come across a group that is the same.
Yeah.
I've never come across a person that is the same. Even a relationship, a marital relationship, human beings are mysterious. And if we don't see them as mysteries, then we'll get bored very fast.
The individuality persists.
Yeah. Oh yeah, फिर वही आ गई, फिर वही आ गया, फिर वही बातें. नहीं. We are more profound than the universe itself.
Definitely.
And as a result, we need to discover, keep an open mind on people. So how can you tire from discovery? So for me, when I interact with an individual or a group of people, I'm interacting with the universe. And I'm also interacting with their worlds. Because all of us live in our own world.
Yeah.
मैं अपनी दुनिया में, तू अपनी दुनिया में, हर बंदा अपनी दुनिया में. So either you have this very myopic view that there is one planet called Earth with 8 billion people, or there are 8 billion worlds. How many worlds do you want to discover?
Yeah.
So if I have 20 people in a group, I have 20 worlds before me.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. Yeah. So we know so many people, so we know so many worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can know so many.
Yeah.
Problem is we don't step out of our own world to get into the world of the other. Yeah. And at times when we try to, we don't get visa on arrival. people don't open up.
Interesting.
And if they don't open up, it's because they feel scared. They're afraid that you might misuse their domain.
Definitely.
So trust is very critical.
Great. So you've prompted my next question by yourself by saying the word visa.
Yes.
So as the topic today has been about retaining the talent of Pakistan, and एक चीज़ जिसका वीज़ा आजकल काफ़ी लोगों को मिल रहा है वो है पाकिस्तान से बाहर जाने का, and something that everybody wants. And especially when I talk about the youths and the brain drain that is going on, everybody just wants to, I would say some people still want to stay, but there are masses which just want to leave Pakistan, who just have lost hope in Pakistan. So do you think that looking at Pakistan with so much experience that you have, there are certain issues that are really alarming in the way that people are bound to take that effort, or do you think it's just the bandwagon effect that it's the new cool and everybody's doing it?
I think I look at it from a perspective of balance and nature. For example, no one who leaves Pakistan for good. That's one thing that I'm very clear about. Yes, the current economic and political situation is very, very unclear and extremely worrying. And as a result, it's only natural for people to seek out better opportunities for themselves without being a burden on the government. So, in one way, yes, it is brain drain and we are losing talent. In another way, it is outsourcing their development and they are doing it for themselves. I mean, what can be better? So all those who have migrated, and I think there might be about 3 million in the last 2.5, 3 years, they've all gone abroad at their own expense. And they've taken the risk. They have taken the decision. And yes, we may think that we have lost so many talented people, but the moment the climate becomes conducive, they'll come back better, more aware, wiser and more talented.
And we have examples of people who have gone abroad and they have come back.
Yes. So if you play the long game, and when you talk of economies, national economies, countries, then 50 years, 20 years, 100 years is not really very long. I mean, the Japanese have 50 years as short term, 150 years as medium term, and anything over 150 years is long term. So when you look at migration and the patterns, then in the short and immediate, narrow perspective, it looks like, oh, we're losing talent. Actually, you're outsourcing their development without spending a cent. And the moment you create a conducive environment, take it from me, more than half the people will return because their soul would be happier here. And that's what I've discovered. I was in the UK for 20 years and I keep traveling abroad. Whomsoever I spoke to in either United Kingdom, Canada, United States, whoever I speak to, they're waiting for that time when they can come back to Pakistan and serve. But at a time when they feel safe, they feel valued, and they are given this proper opportunities. You know, where their kids can play in the grounds, they can go out and not be constantly living in the fear. Yes. So वो माहौल बनाने में कितना time लगता है? I think 3 to 5 years, inshallah, we'll have that.
So you're suggesting that right now the buzz that we hear that, there's a brain drain happening or the people are leaving, there's nothing to worry about.
Not really. I mean, I'm actually motivated and encouraged by the fact that people have the gumption and the courage to make such a big, I mean, not everyone who goes makes a success of it. And some have died in the process, right? So let's salute those who are trying to be a lesser burden here. Because in an environment where you're not valued, how can you add value?
Definitely. But then again, it comes into the mindset of the people. So we see good examples. There's a bright side to the picture. There's a dark side to the picture. So we see that, okay, there's a percentage of the people who are ready to come back. But again, there's a percentage who is just settled there and they're on the spectrum that why should we go back? There's just not enough there in the country left. So what should the stakeholders in Pakistan develop in the country so that it's viable enough for the people to come back and make an actual difference.
2 keywords: enabling environment.
Yeah.
And a fair society where rule of law is the norm.
Yeah.
And people feel protected. I'm in the UK, for example, traveling as a visitor. And I know that if I go to the court, in case I'm done wrong to, I will get immediate dispensation.
Yes.
And if I can get that same sense of feeling, not a perfect society by any means, there is nothing more we need to do. The government's job is to provide an enabling environment. The rest, human ingenuity, will take care of the national development. And I must say that as a country, we have a lot of talent in the country and abroad. And by the way, those who are going out are making this place for people to come. Because otherwise they would not get a chance.
They would not get a chance.
So ठीक है, अनाड़ी बनेंगे तो खिलाड़ी बनेंगे ना.
बिल्कुल.
तो अनाड़ी आ रहे हैं, बेशक आ रहे हैं, कोई मसला नहीं है. And we just need to provide some stability, safety, security, and कहते हैं ना कि good practices for doing business.
Practices.
You know, अब जैसे आपके small आजकल startups is huge in Pakistan, and freelancing is huge, and you know, the digital.
They're better than before, but still there's a long way to go. Like recently the internet shutdown that we observed, that was alarming in the sense that finally an industry was improving, and then we see this. So,
and these are short-term blips, by the way, from what I gather. It's not sustainable. And these are some tactical moves being made by different stakeholders to achieve certain goals, which I do not truly understand. But I do believe that any intelligent, half-intelligent person would not allow for this disruption of this kind to continue. And yes, we'll have fiber optics working, we'll have internet, and we'll have 5G, and we'll have connectivity of a level which is equivalent to the best of the best. All of that has to happen. And why it's not happening, there are many factors.
Many factors contributing.
But I know for a fact that this will not continue.
Inshallah. And looking at a brighter future, at a moving towards a greener future.
It has to, otherwise we're going to drown.
Definitely.
I mean,
so while we are on the talking about the mindsets and how we are nurturing that and how we need to develop the kind of youth that is driven enough to go abroad, but also motivated enough to come back to Pakistan. So I think that when it comes to that certain point, there's a lot of the role that education system plays in. And I go to one of the business schools of Pakistan, and what I hear from my instructors now, few of them, is that there's nothing left in Pakistan, and now you should go abroad and you should go into corporates. And another issue that is with our youth is that everyone wants to be a boss. Nobody is ready to work for the boss. So do you think that the education system is adding up to it, or any reforms that can be done to change that mindset?
I think it is very evident across the globe that the conventional education system is failing.
Definitely.
It is across the globe, not just Pakistan. And particularly with technology, the way it is invaded, and post-COVID, you know, with Zoom and Microsoft Teams, you know, virtual learning, all of these augmented, and then AI and machine learning, and
we've unlocked a new vision that, this could also be done.
I mean, can you imagine doing a Harvard course, an MIT program?
Sitting at your home.
And for free.
And for free.
Yeah. If you want a certificate, you pay a fee.
You pay for it.
Who cares for a certificate so long as I'm learning?
Yeah. Many do.
Yeah. The access to knowledge has become very, I mean, it's so transparent today. I mean, AI, I mean, ChatGPT, Meta AI, or for that matter, ChatGPT 3.5 or version 4. Education, the classical model, has failed us across the globe. Let me tell you this. Even Harvard recognizes that. Where we need to be moving is people with an ambition to serve, to contribute, have a vision of their own. And I must say, Dr. Peter Senge, guru of learning organization, says that education begins when first you have a dream. And that dream is so captivating, you want to accomplish it. And in order to accomplish it, you realize you don't know this, you don't know this, you don't know this. And the learning that you do in order to accomplish that dream is education. What I find is that people are saying, look, first I'll do my PhD, then I'll decide what to do.
Yeah.
First I'll do my master's in engineering, mechanical or electronic, and then I'll decide what to do. This is putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
First decide what you want to do with your life. And then whatever it is that you need to learn.
Drive the learning according to it.
And learn according to it.
Yeah.
So education is shifting in that direction now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said everyone wants to be a boss.
Yeah.
Listen, no one wants to be a boss really. People want freedom.
Ownership.
A sense of autonomy.
Yeah.
And why not? Mm-hmm. And the interesting part here is that you can't have freedom without discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So either someone will discipline you.
Yeah.
Or you need to be self-disciplined. And either you become an employer or you work
for an employer.
For an entrepreneur. Yeah. So the point here is that you're either an entrepreneur or you work with an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because ultimately every business today was an enterprise.
Definitely.
Was a startup. Nestle was a startup. GSK was a startup. I mean, all businesses that you see once upon a time were a कीड़ा in the head of one guy or one gal. ठीक है? तो how did Amazon, for example, start out? I mean, it was just a few people in a room trying to package stuff and ship them. And courier companies were helping out. And today it's a 600,000 empire.
Definitely.
And it's being managed because there are processes, there is a vision, there's a mindset. So education का मैं ये कहूँगा कि भाई, let's not even talk about bosses. Get the job done.
Yeah. Doesn't matter who's doing it.
Yeah, enjoy the freedom and give the freedom to others also. And that'll only be possible if you are disciplined. Mm-hmm. The more discipline we have in the system, the more freedom everyone will enjoy. So that with freedom, they deliver on the results that they've committed to. And that's where integrity comes in, trust comes in, and the organizational dynamics. So the culture drives a business, which is shaped by the founders.
Exactly. I could not agree more. I think it's about time that we should leave the hustle of I need to get a PhD, I need to get a master's, and rather than having dreams and visions that are being supported by those PhDs. Yes. So it's about time, and I think it's all about experience, and it's all about having the hope and the positivity for it. So I would like to know now, as I believe that for every word, every person has a different definition. Hope is something else for me, and hope is something else for you. So how do you define hope?
Divine promise.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's the first thought that comes to mind. And I see hope in the context of what I was discussing just a while back.
Yeah.
Backbone of life. Mm-hmm. And in the backbone of life, the first word is faith. And faith is something that you have or you don't have. It doesn't require any rational explanation.
Are you born with it?
You either have it or you don't have it.
You don't have it, yeah.
And not having it is doom, in my view, because faith in yourself, faith in others, faith in the future. I mean, future is doom and gloom, or future is bright.
Yeah.
You take your pick. Both are possible.
Both are the options that you have.
And whatever thought you carry is what you'll attract in your own life. So faith is what gives us hope. We can never be hopeful if we are faithless.
Yeah.
It is our faith that gives us hope, and hopelessness is when people slide into depression and ultimately suicide.
Definitely.
And the mental health crisis that we are experiencing partly can be attributed to the environmental stresses that we are facing. And it's also lack of faith.
Lack of faith.
And I'm not suggesting faith as a religious concept. I'm suggesting it as a faith in the future, faith in self, faith in others. And if those believing in a deity, faith in God, by all means.
So you just have to believe that a better day will come. You just have to have that faith.
Yes. And it honestly gives you
something to look forward to.
To look forward to, and then you dream.
Yeah.
And when you dream and you come up with beautiful dreams, with your eyes open, dreams that don't let you sleep, that's when vision is born. And that's how the whole life is structured. And I must say, if we're not inspiring, we're depressing.
Yeah.
Can you think about it?
Yes.
I want every individual listening to become an inspiring individual for their own family, for their own community. And how can you be inspiring if you lack a vision.
I think it's such a great food for thought that if we're not then inspiring, I would say, a ball of joy for the people around us, we're actually de-depressing element in their life.
Exactly. And if they're suffering us, shame on them.
Yeah.
They should walk away. I mean, because we are either energy sappers or we energize. And I think people with vision are the ones who energize. They leave a footprint of excitement and curiosity and adventure and wow. I mean, and ultimately our goal is to meet people and leave them feeling good about themselves.
Definitely. I think message to my friends, disown me the next time you find me depressing. So, talking about hope and positivity, and then again, Pakistan, the ones that we all dearly love and are a part of. So, we're talking about organizations, and you have trained so many organizations, helped the people, and all of that. So, how do you think that right now in the current times when we have so much turbulence around, how hope and positivity could be strengthened on and how it's going to make a change for Pakistan on the whole?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, I've interacted with and engaged with several organizations. I definitely haven't trained them, by the way.
Okay.
I think I'm enjoying a profession where I get to learn a lot from a lot of people. And I get paid for it. So I've learned in Pakistan from managers in Pakistan. And I must say that the businesses here are, despite the odds, despite the odds, doing extremely well. Considering that there are barriers to a lot of things that can be done, technological barriers, like you mentioned, the internet being inconsistent and unavailable, the trade barriers, setting up a business, the bureaucracy, the red tape, bureaucracy, taxation. I mean, there are lots of issues to run a business in this country.
Definitely.
But the part I find most exciting is that the companies in Pakistan are so resilient and so determined that they are profitable and they, despite the odds, are doing well.
Yeah.
Which means that if they can perform in such a hostile climate, can you imagine our leadership in a foreign country which is far more amenable to business?
Yeah.
I mean, they would take companies to the next heights.
Yeah.
Of course. So I've learned a lot from the Pakistani community and business community. The one thing that they've been lacking, and I find that this podcast might bring this to light, is that broad vision that we need. We need to expand our sense of possibility.
Yeah.
There is so much we can deliver on. We can achieve so much, contribute so much more.
Yeah.
Our visions are a bit stymied and narrow. And I feel the moment we expand our vision, my God, we can deliver astounding results in the region and overseas. And I know a few Pakistanis who are abroad doing a fantastic job. And indeed, if they'll be happy to be back contributing to our economy as soon as the climate is ready. And I think in a few years that should be the case.
That should be the case, inshallah. So, sir, if I could, it's a wonderful answer and it's something to look forward to for the people. But if I could ask you that if you could give a one-line message on hope and positivity to the people, that what to stick to in order to have that, because honestly, it's easier said than done. So how can people stick to that even in the times of like having so many obstacles?
Well, there are 2 or 3 things here, not one line.
Yeah.
One aspect which I think is important to highlight is balance. Hope and positivity is sure nice. And of course, sometimes we feel despair and hopeless as well.
Yeah, let's accept that. Yeah.
I mean, it's part of life. I mean, when you look at the arterial lifeline, it's ups and downs and ups and downs.
Yeah.
So when we are down, we need to come up. And when we are up, we need to remember we can go down. So balance is what we need to strike all the time. And the statement that I find very comforting is soon this too will pass.
Yeah.
So if I'm having a great time, I should remind myself, soon this too will pass. And if I'm having a lousy day, I should remember this too will pass. So that balance is what is more important than remaining constantly positive or otherwise. So not to be in one state or the other forever, but to be in a state of balance and a state of gratitude.
Very rightly said. Very, very, very rightly said. So, talking about the thing that now this is about how the organizations are doing their part, and obviously organizations are individuals. So, one thing I get a lot, I would like to share it for my podcast. People tell me that, you know, you're young and you're one of the chirpy people, and you could do a podcast on something more interesting, something more lively. And I say that now this is something which I believe even if 2 people are listening it's making an impact. We're talking about sustainability, we're talking about positivity, we're talking about green energy, which is a new concept in Pakistan. So it is that the personal development is linked to some element of the society. And this is, I believe, what many people need to learn, that you need to link the personal development with the societal progress. So what are your thoughts on that how can we inculcate that in our nation?
There's a word in Urdu, karamad. We need to be useful. That's the first thing. Okay. Skill is our only security. Look, a lot of people are, suffering from fear of, losing a job.
Yeah.
If you're skillful, you're secure.
You're secure.
Because useful people will always land a job. But the point is, if we're not becoming useful, now when you define useful, then you come into contribution.
Yeah.
Personal development, professional development, learning is a lifelong endeavor. Why should one learn? In order to discover one's potential, step out of mediocrity and pursue excellence in order to glorify God.
Yeah.
We are not on this planet to glorify ourselves. We are not on this planet to show off. We are on this planet to please God. And He'll be pleased when we act in a way that glorifies Him. I think that is the essence of our life. हम आदमी हैं, इंसान बनने आए हैं. हम अपने आप को इंसान कह देते हैं, तो इंसान बनते नहीं हैं. Imagine if you give yourself a sanad, a degree of a doctor, and then you open a clinic and have a set of colorful pills, and people come, you check their pulse, and you say, "Zindagi maut Allah ke haath mein, Allah aapko shifa de. Ab ye din mein 3 dafa kha." I mean, you're a quack. And why would you want a degree when you're getting people coming and paying you your fee? Consultation आपको 500 रुपए 1000 रुपए हर दफा विजिट पे दे रहे हैं. आपकी तो कमाई घर बैठे हो रही है. And people don't even know whether you're a quack or a real one. तो इधर गुजारिश ये है कि हम इंसान अपने आप को कहते हैं. Remember this conversation we had and I asked, who are you? तो कहता है मैं इंसान हूँ. मैंने कहा तो बाकी कद्दू हैं. The point is, we are all from Adam. Man and woman both. I mean, we're all from Adam. तभी हम कहते हैं हम आदमी हैं. क्यों आए दुनिया में? इंसान बनने. तो जब हम इंसान बनने आए हैं तो इंसान बनना तो बहुत, it's a lifelong pursuit. So when you say personal development, to me it is the journey from आदमी to इंसान. And not to settle at what I know. What we try to do is get to the first ledge. अब जहाँ मेरा दाल पानी चल रहा है ना, इधर ही रुक जाओ. We must not stop. We must keep.
रास्ते को मंजिल बना लेते.
रास्ते को क्या बात है, आपने कह दिया. Mediocrity is not our destiny. We just have to be happy with what we have and strive for more. Not in terms of material gain, but in terms of the difference we make in society. The ultimate goal is दुआ कमाओ, दिलों में रहो. पैसे नहीं कमाओ, वो तो आ ही जाएंगे.
Comes from the dua.
हाँ, कोठी में ना रहो, वो तो आ ही जाएगी. दुआ कमाओ और दिलों में रहो. And when you meet people and they feel good about themselves, I think you've done your job. And why just settle for one? Make a difference in the lives of 10. कुछ नहीं कर सकते तो मुस्कुरा के दो. ऐसे क्या? And when you smile, people smile around.
People smile around you.
Why frown all the time? And, endorphins are released when you use these muscles, even if you don't want to smile.
Definitely. So very well said. And I'd like to add something here as growing up, whenever I used to go for somewhere for a speech competition or anything and all, so my amma used to say just one thing. She's like, you cannot just stand there and think you are the best, but you have to think that in order to perform best. So you do the necessary work for that, and then you stand there and you think you're the best. Yeah. So I think it's just about believing in yourself, but before you have to work to get to the point, okay, you know that you are capable of something.
Hard work is there.
Hard work is there.
Practice to karni hoti hai na, to become skillful.
Definitely.
You can acquire the knowledge, but to be skillful, you need to practice.
Definitely.
Lots of practice, and usme galtiyan bhi hoti hai. And one thing I will say, humility is the key. Because when you said the word best, na, to usme dimag kharabi bhi aa jati hai kabhi kabhi. No matter how well you regard yourself, don't consider others as less than you.
Others as less, yes.
Bas ye hai.
Definitely.
I mean, you are a queen, for example. Everyone else is royal. So when we treat people in that manner, that's humility. Humility is not bowing and disappearing in the soil. Humility is about being graceful. Definitely. And treating others with the same grace and the same respect.
So, talking about how the youth of Pakistan needs to have that confidence in themselves and have to have confidence that we are skilled enough, the world wants us, we can make a difference in Pakistan. So what would you say that right now, looking at the younger generation that Pakistan holds, what do you think is our biggest strength that we can cash on?
I mean, our biggest strength, I would say, is there are, opportunities to learn in our society.
Yeah.
I was in France in 2011 giving a talk to some product supply teams from a company, 150 of them. And there were several speakers from the region, Africa, South Asia, and Eastern Europe. And I recall saying that I come from the richest country in the world.
Yeah.
And of course, people sniggered and smiled and said, he's from Pakistan. Yeah, he's delusional. So I said, I mean it, because what I've learned from all of us and from you all is that problems are opportunities in disguise. And guess what? Pakistan is the richest country in the world because it has the most problems. And
that's the way to look at it.
Yeah. And therefore, the more problems we have, the more opportunities we have. And that's why the startup culture. Because what is startup ultimately? I mean, you can look at it, you shop for a problem, become its solution, and go and focus and sell. So, isme, jab main ye baat kar raha tha, to there was a Nigerian, and we got into a competition who has greater problems. So, guzarish ye ki Pakistan is very fortunate because we do have problems in every domain, whether it's legal, whether it's administrative, whether it's governance, whether it's health, high education, whatever field you want to pick up, there are problems. And each of these problems are opportunities. And I have recognized that in Pakistan, the youth bulge that we talk about is a huge asset as well. And people are so receptive to new learning. I know that from this podcast, those who listen will take away a lot. And they will make a shift. They will make a change. So ye jo Pakistan ka ek advantage hai, this is what frightens the world. That if this sleeping giant awakens, what will happen? So I have a feeling that like all of God's creation, I mean, Africans are very talented, and so are the Chinese, and so are the Pakistanis, but in our own unique way. And the strengths, I think, are similar to other countries. But the opportunity we have is that, look, if you can survive in Pakistan, you can survive anywhere in the world. So that is the biggest strength, the environment.
Definitely.
It is so tough.
Wonderful. So I must say this has been one of the episodes that I have truly learned from. And now that we come towards one of the concluding questions, so I would like to ask that you are one of the visionaries you pertain the idea of dreaming, you tell people to dream. So if I ask you that, where do you see Pakistan and where do you see this talent of Pakistan going in, let's say, coming 5 years? So what would be your vision? What would be your dream coming to life?
No, that's too short a time horizon. I'm sorry. I take, when I look at Pakistan, I look at it 100, 200 years ahead.
Okay.
This is if
you
the world continues.
You follow the Japanese rule?
I mean, we're still in nappies.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as a country, I mean, if
you look at
years. United States, with its 300-year plus history, in the first 100 years, was caught up in civil wars. Mm-hmm. In the first 100 years.
Yeah.
We've only had 75 years. Please let us have some more fun. All right? So when I take a longer view, 100, 200 years, I see Pakistan as a dominant force in the global socio-political and cultural domain, playing a huge part in uplifting the marginalized from all societies, whether in Latin America, whether in Africa, United States, wherever. A beacon of hope for the world. Yeah. But in about 150 to 200 years, if Allah allows for the world to continue that long. Yeah. That I have no idea. But that's where I see the role of Pakistan, because we're a Muslim country, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a blessing for mankind. We as followers have to become a nation that is a blessing for the entire global community, particularly those who are living a very, very horrific life. And you know that the majority, at least 2/3 of the planet, is suffering badly, the population. Yeah. And someone has to feel for them and do something for them. But for that, Pakistan first has to become
independent enough.
Independent and an example, an inspiring example for other nations to follow. Right now, we are on the other extreme. Completely on the other extreme. How not to be. We need to become how to become. How to be. And once that happens, then this shift may take about 50 years, 80 years. And then the remaining 100 years, inshallah, we'll become a beacon of hope. And we'll not play with words and manipulate.
We hoping for the brighter side, for the brighter years to come. Inshallah.
And that hard work is on you, because I'm not going to be around for very long. But I'm leaving
maybe all live up to see those days.
Inshallah.
Yeah. So lastly, thank you so much for your wonderful time, for your words that you've imparted to all of us. I hope that just a beacon of hope has touched one life through this episode today. As we said at the start of the podcast, that everyone is young at heart and we all are young people. So what would be your advice to the young people who say that they want to make a positive impact, specifically if I talk about Pakistan, as we see a lot of people saying that they want to make an impact, but they don't know what is the positive impact. So what would be your advice to the people watching?
And this is the concluding one,
this is the concluding one.
All right. So here I would like to request those watching to go to the mirror and see their reflection and ask, what are they seeing? And what you're seeing in the mirror is nothing short of a miracle. You are a miracle. And if you don't know what makes you a miracle, this is where the journey begins. If you thought you know yourself, you don't. Start asking the questions. Why am I alive? Who am I? What am I here for? What am I supposed to do? What is my vision in life? These are fundamental questions. Ask yourself that if you are a miracle on this planet, what makes you one? And as a miraculous being, what miracles can you create? Empowered by God. Okay? Think about that.
Beautiful. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. It's been truly an honor. And I look forward to learning more in the future. So thank you so much for coming here.
You're welcome. It has been a pleasure as well.
Thank you. So for the people watching, I hope there was a learning outcome in the podcast for you, and we'll be back with more exciting episodes. So thank you so much for tuning in. Allah Hafiz.